What's going on, guys? Jay here. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a brand new game that dropped last week for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and that is Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics. Now, you guys probably already understand that I'm a bit biased, being a big comic book fan, but I wanted to go at this honestly and let you guys know what my first impressions are, my first thoughts. I've been playing the game now for probably about 15 hours this weekend between doing missions and just kind of tooling around with the game to make sure I'm comfortable with it and what I've done on the beta previously as well. And I think it's time to let you guys know what I think. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. And now, Avengers Assemble. The first time I read the Avengers comics, I was probably about 12 years old, and I didn't know much about them. I knew that the X-Men comic I was reading at the time featured Wolverine, Captain America, and Black Widow. I knew who Cap was. I mean, everyone knew who Cap was, but I had no idea who the Black Widow was. I had no idea who this redhead was in a gray cat suit on the cover. But I was intrigued. I didn't know what this was. It was a World War II story, and okay, yeah, let's take a look at it. And that made me interested in the Avengers, and that made me want to keep reading them, so I did. When George Perez and Kurt Busiek took over the title and relaunched it after Heroes Reborn as Avengers #1, and there was this massive spread of characters drawn by George Perez that was just amazing, and it blew my mind, and I was hooked from that point on, and the Avengers have become and are still my favorite Marvel team, next to the Thunderbolts. We'll talk about the Thunderbolts another time. So when we found out that there was going to be an Avengers game from Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, I was interested. I was intrigued. I didn't know what to expect because the initial videos shown didn't really blow me away. I thought the costume designs were a little suspect, didn't really care for the character models, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. But the more I've seen of it and the more I've watched it, the more interested I became. And when I found out that Kamala Khan was going to be in it, Ms. Marvel, I was very interested because Kamala is one of my favorite Marvel characters. So I bid on it when it came out, and I want to talk to you about it. So I haven't done anything multiplayer yet. I'm still only playing through the single player campaign, and this is a first impressions video. But I'm really enjoying it so far. It's not a perfect game. There's definitely some things in here I don't like, but I like a lot more than I don't. I will tell you that. The Kamala Khan scenes and gameplay in particular are a ton of fun. You can tell that she was definitely the focal point of the design, and that's good because she should be. She's the player's eyes into this world. You know, Kamala is kind of the modern day Spider-Man. She's the everyman. She's who the reader can see themselves as, and in this case, she's who the game player can see themselves as. So being able to play as Kamala and run through those missions is really fun. And it's neat to be able to play the Avengers as well because, you know, the first character you run into that you're able to play other than Kamala outside of that intro and tutorial level is the Hulk. And they are vastly different play experiences. You know, every character has a ranged attack. Every character has up close attacks, et cetera, et cetera. But Hulk and Kamala, you know, Kamala's smaller, she's faster, and Hulk is huge, and he's Hulk smash. So being able to play those two different characters is very interesting, and despite the fact that the gameplay is identical, it's very different, if that makes any sense. I really enjoy being able to go into levels and explore. The Tomb Raider pedigree is here. You know, there's not just, it's not a linear procedural run through. There are definitely linear levels, and the level, I mean, for the most part, the levels are linear. You know, you start at point A and you have to end at point Z. But you're able to go around and find collectibles, there's gear, there's comics, there's all kinds of stuff to find and upgrades and different things like that. And as you go, your character improves and there's skill trees to unlock. And it's what you'd expect from a Destiny-like game. You start off on A-Day in San Francisco playing as a 10-year-old Kamala Khan and eventually in walking around on the new Chimera helicarrier and experiencing kind of an Avengers celebration. And eventually there's an attack on the Golden Gate Bridge, and that's when you start playing as the main five. You go over there, you fight Taskmaster, some bad things happen. If you've played the beta, you know what goes on. The Chimera crashes with Cap on board, and fast forward 6 years to when you are playing Kamala Khan in Jersey City, New Jersey. Terrigenesis has happened. She is now an Inhuman. Her powers of embiggening have kicked in. You are living her life, and you are going to her secret hideout, which is in a water tower and is so cool and is something I look at and just salivate over. I want that in real life. I would love to have a water tower secret headquarters. It's so neat. But you're exploring, and as you're going through, you're using her powers to various abilities. Like you use her arms to stretch out and grab walls, like Laura's grappling hook, and she makes her hands gigantic and uses them to slide down zip lines. And you have special powers and superpowers where you can make her embiggen and get gigantic. And stomp enemies and knock them out quicker. And then she can also spin really fast and twirl her arms and knock enemies up in the air by punching them 3 times in the face rapidly. It's really neat. And each character in the Avengers has those abilities and skill trees that you can unlock. So there's a lot of possibility in playthrough here. The microtransactions are present, but they're unnecessary, wholly unnecessary, honestly. All you get are cosmetics. So if there's a particular costume you want, yeah, go ahead and spend the money, but you don't need to because they don't offer anything. This isn't a pay-to-win kind of game. This is a pay-to-look-good kind of game. Kind of like Overwatch is, but with the advantage of it not being loot boxes. You can just go in and say, yes, I want to buy the costume where Ms. Marvel is wearing a frog hat. Or I want the Joe Fixit suit for the Hulk. You don't just go in and say, I'm going to buy this loot box and hope I get the Diva costume I wanted. No, you can actually pick out what you want and go from there. There's a ton of stuff to unlock. Each character has just a massive amount of costumes. And the skill trees are pretty lengthy, and there's a bunch of gear that you can unlock and improve and upgrade and tailor to your play style, etc., etc. The graphics are really good. The sound is fantastic. I really can't stress enough how incredible the voice acting is in this game. Each person that I've encountered so far just owns the character that they're playing. They are so indelibly important to the portrayal of this character, it's not even funny. And that goes hand in hand with the animators who are using that motion capture and turning that into just a beautiful performance, and the writers for creating just a phenomenal script. These guys and girls that wrote this just understand these characters so well and understand the legacy and the soul and the spirit of these characters. There's a particular scene with Dr. Banner and Kamala driving down the highway in Bruce's RV. And it shows just the complete identity of what these two characters are. Kamala is bubbly and happy and just wants to have fun and just be her. And Bruce wants quiet and calm and relaxation, because if he doesn't, he turns into an angry green rage beast. It's really neat to see these two characters play off of each other, and for Bruce to start to embrace the role of being the mentor for Kamala and to help her down the path of becoming a hero and encouraging her and believing in her. It's great writing. And it's something that you don't really get with the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. The Marvel Cinematic Universe films are just all about the immediate gratification. Like, they're 2 hours for a reason. You have the open, you have the middle act, and you have the close. And that's what you're going to get no matter what. Sure, there's plot threads that weave through, but in this game, at least, you are able to kind of lengthen those out and tell more stories and tell more meaningful stories with these characters. As you go, you unlock further parts of the Chimera as you discover it, crashed and hidden. And yeah, you start recruiting more of the Avengers. It's a wonderful game. It really is. Like I said, there are some things I don't like about it. So let me talk about those real quick before I get into the wrap up here. There's some aspects of the combat I don't like. There are points where you are doing what is logical and what you feel should be working. Like there are enemies that will appear on screen that swarm you, and it's like, okay, well, let me use powers to knock them back, and then I'll focus in on the heavier guys and get those knocked out, and then I can focus on the smaller ones. And you'd think that would work, and usually it does, but there are times where it just will not. The heavier guys will block everything you throw at them, no matter if you're trying to break the shields or what. You are going to be taken out, you're going to be swarmed, and you're going to have to start the entire checkpoint over again. It can be frustrating, because the next time you'll go through, you'll breeze through it like it was no one's business, like it was just the easiest thing in the world, and you're an idiot, and why couldn't you beat this the first time? There's also some occasions in certain levels, while I said that you go from point A to point Z, but you're kind of free to explore from there. There are certain levels that are very linear, and you're not really able to explore. There's no branching paths or anything like that. There's like annexed closets of what you're able to go look at, as opposed to an entire other section of the level. Now, the war zone missions and stuff like that are wider open, and there's definitely a different design there. But the stuff that's in the campaign can feel linear at times. I'm not a huge fan of the harm machine, the holographic, kind of like their danger room on the Chimera. Not a huge fan of that. I've only done one mission in it so far, and I had to be Iron Man for some reason. And I understand that that was the tutorial, and it was just showing me this is what you can do in here. But if I'm going in as a character, if I'm going in as Kamala Khan, let me play as Kamala. Don't make me play as Iron Man. I don't know. It felt a little out of place and kind of a little forced. And kind of like it got just kind of added in at the last second, and it was just like, oh, we need to have Iron Man in here. Put Iron Man in there. That's what we're prepped for. I do wish that the game leaned a little bit more heavily into the mythos of the comics, because there is such an adoration of the comics in the game that you can unlock and the different covers you can see and stuff like that. I wish there was more of an adherence to the storylines there, and we got some more characters from there as opposed to just getting the MCU characters. Like, I get that everyone knows who Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, and Hulk are, and that's who most people are going to want to play with, and that's great. And I love that they tossed Kamala in, because not a whole lot of people know her, and I think it's really important that there's representation of a Muslim character. I think that's great. But, man, locking these comic characters like Hawkeye behind a paywall, that's frustrating. I really wish there would have been more characters right from jump that you could play as beyond just the MCU characters. I mean, from a marketing perspective, I get it. This is just J comic fan bitching here. Okay. Like I think it would be cool to play as Hercules, but I'm one of 12 people that think it would be cool to play as Hercules.
I also think it's really important to talk about the load times in this game, because holy cow, do they exist. The game is solid. It's a ton of fun to play, but the load times that happen going into a level or going in between things or just trying to load a costume to preview really takes you out of the flow of the game. I hope this is more optimized for things like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but my confidence isn't too high just because of what I've experienced so far.
So overall, do I think the game is good? Yeah, I am having a lot of fun with it. It's not perfect. There are definitely some Destiny elements, and I can see why some people were expecting something differently, but in Square and Crystal Dynamics' defense, they never said you were getting anything different. They said what you were getting, and that's what you get. And I really like it. I think it's a hit. I'm very, very pleased that I picked it up.
Okay, there you have it. First thoughts on Avengers for the PS4 and the Xbox One. And straight up, I am having an absolute blast with the game. Is it perfect? No. It is not perfect. There is definitely some monotony involved, and there are things that I just look at and I go, ooh, that's things I didn't like in Destiny, and that's stuff I did not care for in Anthem, and boy howdy did that make it into this game. But there's so much soul to this game which does not exist in those other ones. First off, microtransactions are unnecessary. You don't have to worry about them. You can just go through the game and play normally. Everything that you can purchase, you can earn in the game. This is just a speed up, and anything you can buy doesn't impact how you play. This isn't a pay to win. It's all cosmetic stuff. Yeah, granted, there's some different attacks and takedowns and stuff you can do, but they do identical damage to stuff that you already have in the game, and they're all based on what you can actually do already. It's pretty great. The costumes are fantastic. There's incredible dialogue, and the voice acting is spectacular. Whoever did the writing on this game understands the soul of these characters, and it's wonderful. To be able to play as one of my favorite characters in Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel is magical. This game has made me care about the Hulk, which I've never really done before. It's really fun to play as this version of Bruce Banner because the acting is so good. I feel for him. I'm very happy with this game. I have no regrets picking this up. I paid full price for this, and I don't look back. I don't know that this is a game for everybody. I do think that there are going to be some people that would play this game and kind of look at it and go, it's just another Destiny grind fest, but I'm telling you, 20 hours of single-player campaign before you even have to even look at the multiplayer online stuff, you're getting a solid performance here. It feels so good to play, and it's so much fun. And I cannot wait to start getting the DLC characters because holy crap do I need to play as both the Hawkeyes. That's going to do it for this one, guys. If you have played Marvel's Avengers and not just the beta, I'm talking the full release. It's not fair to judge a game based on a beta. Let's look at the full release. Let me know what you thought about the game in the comments down below. Am I way off base? Am I overthinking this? And I am just blinded by the fact this is a high-impact superhero action. Probably. But that's okay because I'm still having fun, and that's all that matters. Everyone's allowed to like different games, and that's cool. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any particular character you would like to see added to the game. Personally, I would love to see someone like Slapstick involved. How crazy would that be to have someone with cartoon superpowers in the game? Or maybe even someone like Daredevil. Can we make that leap and finally get Daredevil into a game that doesn't, suck like the GBA one did? Let's think about this. Let's brainstorm and get some awesome characters in there. This is going to be a great year for superhero games. We've got Marvel's Avengers, we've got Gotham Knights, and we've got Suicide Squad coming up within the next 2 years. It's going to be amazing. And that's before there's even anything we don't know about, because I guarantee you there's going to be some crazy crap dropping that we haven't even heard about yet. Guys, that is going to do it for this video. I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the video, do consider giving it a thumbs up down below. And if you have watched for this long, as always, please do consider subscribing if you have not done so yet. And share the video if you dug it. Let your friends know about it. I appreciate it, and they might too. Who knows? We are doing a couple videos a week now. We're into a good rhythm, and I'm really enjoying things. As always, guys, I have been Jay. I appreciate you being here. Play more games. Stay square.